not necessarily reflect the views of KAZ Radio Television Network or its sponsors. Well, it's around that time right here on KAZ Radio where we have those two crazy guys, none other than We've Got Issues with Don, Mike, and Duran. How you guys doing today?
Hey, we're doing great. We're doing great. And everybody, welcome to We've Got Issues. You know, this is a great show, and we're happy to be here. Thanks, Cleveland, for tuning in. And before we get started, let's get to start the show started in prayer. All right. Thank you for today, Heavenly Father. We ask that you continue to complete the work that you've begun in each of us. Let us see as you see and do as you say. Amen.
Amen.
You know, we got a lot of issues to cover. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. The call-in number is 216-298-1554. Again, that's 216-298-1554. We got a lot of great issues to get to this week. A lot of stuff's been happening. I want to turn it over and say a quick prayer real quickly to the people who have suffered during Hurricane Michael here. And our prayers are with the Hurricane Michael. They need to get a better name for this, don't they, Duran? They need to call it Hurricane. Please get out your house and get out of that area, because I don't know why the people would stay around. Maybe if these hurricanes had more of a bolder name, people would do something with it. So let's get right into it. Duran, what's your issue for this week?
Well, my issue is with the hurricanes. Just to ask a question, have you ever lost your ID or something, and you almost panic when you lose your ID?
Even your cell phone.
Even your cell phone, you go in a panic mode almost. But just imagine just losing everything to a hurricane.
Wow.
Your homes, every personal possession, and you're thinking, I can't imagine it because I've never been through it, but just to put it in perspective, if you lose ID or a cell phone,
that's a problem. That's a
problem
tragedy,
already.
lightweight tragedy.
It takes you weeks and weeks just to get caught back up.
Yeah.
Now a hurricane, I don't know what's the first thing you think about if you get hit with a devastation like that. I'm just trying to think. I don't know what would go through my mind there.
Yeah.
It's not going to be. It's the wettest it's ever been.
That's what Trump's saying. Yeah. Do you think that Duran? That's a great issue. Do you think that Trump? He went ahead and decided to go to that rally and to do that rally as opposed to really stopping everything.
Was it a big turnout?
Yeah. I'm sure it was not a big turnout, but that's a great issue. We're going to come back to that in the show. Mike, what's your issue for this week?
Oh man, I got several issues. The first thing is it was interesting. This name Timothy Loman.
Timothy Loman.
Yeah, Timothy Loman. He is actually the cop who killed Tamir Rice. Okay. Now, this guy, before he became a Cleveland police officer, he worked for the city of Independence as a police officer.
Hey, I like Independence.
They deemed him unfit to serve.
Say that again.
Unfit
So
to
Independence
serve.
let him go because he was unfit to serve.
Cleveland hired him.
And he promptly
Killed Tamir Rice.
That ain't funny, but who's doing this?
He was dismissed or resigned or whatever with Cleveland, and now the city of Bel Air, Ohio, has decided to hire this guy. So I want to know, how many chances does a guy get to get it right, and how many lives does he have to kill or destroy before someone says this guy just isn't the person to be a police officer? The police chief for Bel Air Police Department, his name, it eludes me right now, but he stated that Mr. Loman deserves a second chance. Does he get a third chance, a fourth chance, a fifth chance?
Yeah.
He was fired in 2017 for lying on his application. That's before Independence.
Now this is a police officer.
Independence hired him. He got fired from them because he was unfit to serve. Cleveland hired him. He killed Tamir Rice almost as soon as he got the job. and now he wants to be a police officer in Bel Air. So this is what happened. Black Lives Matter happened.
Okay.
Samir's mom, Samaria, happened.
Okay.
And they called for protests, and over 1,000 people called the Bel Air Police Department.
Blew their
Mr.
phones
Loman,
up.
Blew them up, and Mr. Loman said, I'm going to resign because I don't want the police department to go through all this stress and strain with all the calls and stuff.
Come on now.
Whatever.
Right.
Bye,
Shouldn't have hired him.
Felicia.
Shouldn't have hired her to begin with.
Right.
That makes me a little hot. Pastor, can we turn that fan on?
But I just,
For real.
if it was another cop of
Right.
another race,
Uh-huh.
if it was a black guy killing a white person,
Right.
a black police officer killing a white kid,
Oh, come on.
would he get the same
Are you
opportunities
kidding me?
to serve in that same capacity
Yeah.
with several different departments?
No, he would not.
The surprising thing about that is I read something on that, and in his assessment, he was deemed as immature, and
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
he was not. He would make like rash decisions, and I don't see how we would hire someone over there that has control over a person's life.
Yeah.
That's. I don't know. I just hope I don't never get caught up in a place like they were
Yeah.
about to hire.
Shout
this
out to
guy.
Black Lives Matter, though.
Yeah, definitely. But this is a 12-year-old kid who's playing with a toy gun in a park where he's
At a rec
supposed to
center,
be
at a rec
playing,
center.
And now the call goes out that there's a man in the park with a gun. So automatically you would think that they would at least arrive with some kind of caution. They wouldn't pull right up on the guy if he's the one with the gun.
Right.
They hop out of the car and within seconds shoots and kills Tamir Rice, and he gets off for that.
So your issue is with the fact that how could he even go that far?
I'm just so sick of all these incidents.
Mm-hmm.
Over 300 people have been killed since 2014, 2013. Unarmed, people with CCW license, someone walking, someone driving, a professor was killed, people taken to jail, they get killed, and then the police aren't held accountable. Now, I will say this, finally, we have some accountability.
Yeah.
There was a police officer that was brought up on charges. He was found guilty of I believe murder, but they haven't given him his sentence yet. So we'll see how that goes. But
yeah, that's a good
at
issue.
least that's a good start.
Yeah, that's a great. I'm glad there was some closure because, listen, man, that guy should have never even been after independence.
Right.
I don't even know why Cleveland hired him. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy.
It doesn't make any sense, man.
I don't think he all of a sudden became fit to serve in Cleveland when Independence is right up the road. He wasn't fit to serve there. Is it different criteria? What's really going on here?
Yeah. My issue, Mike, and I know you probably got a couple more there. My issue this week is with Kanye West. I don't know how many of you guys saw that today with Trump. If you have seen it, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm looking directly in the camera, and I want to say it just like this. Everybody's heard the term "stay in your lane," right? Okay. So I'll use this as an example. The guy that he eats the most hot dogs. His name is Joey Chestnut, right? He eats all those Nathan's. He like 70, 80 hot dogs in like 3 or 4 minutes, whatever it is. I don't want to hear Joey Chestnut talking about anything, particularly political. I want him to stay in his lane. He can talk all he wants about hot dogs.
Well, I don't necessarily.
I feel the same way about Kanye West. The guy may be a genius in terms of music, but in terms of his political ideologies and his thought processes and all of that, I think he should just stick to music. I just don't think it's that platform. I don't think he's using his platform properly, and he's proven time and time again that he doesn't have the mentality to do that. He should just stay in the studio, and that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with Kanye West and his statements about his political statements, his statements about slavery was a choice. To me, he's an idiot.
There you go.
Now
there it is. Thank you.
He may have some musical talent.
Yeah, look at him right there, dude. The hat alone. The hat alone
Right.
is what. Yes, Kanye 2006. Put that hat on. Come back.
But I don't have a problem with people in other industries speaking out.
Okay.
If you're a football player and you see some injustices being done, by all means, you have a platform, use it. Kanye West has a platform and he's using it. It's just that I don't agree with what he's saying.
Hey,
And
slavery was what? A choice? I was done with that. He had me there.
I think if you're going to use your platform, you have to be conscious of what you're saying, and you have to put some thought behind it. You just can't let anything come out of your mouth and then expect people to be like, okay, that's cool.
Right. What do you think of that?
Kanye.
I think the average person say the same sorts of things that this gentleman says. It wouldn't even make airtime. But just because he is who he is, I mean, some people just tend to listen to that. It's a waste of time to even listen to that. I call it foolishness.
Yeah. And it gets.
I tell you what, I won't be buying his CDs.
No, I can't support
I haven't
that.
bought one anyway.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm for sure not buying them now.
I'm for sure not buying it. You know what I mean? Come on now. Let's keep moving. So, guys, another issue that was big this week, since we were here last week on the show, was the confirmation of Kavanaugh. Any thoughts on that? Any issues with that?
Oh my God! Where do I start?
Do we have enough airtime to go to that?
I don't even know where to start with that.
I mean, here's my issue with Kavanaugh. I still don't want to call him the Supreme Court
Injustice?
Injustice. But he was alleged. It was alleged. It hasn't been proven guilty or innocent, as our president said, that he was found innocent of all charges. There wasn't anything that went to court. So,
So
that's false.
Right.
If you're brought up, at least do a legitimate investigation, not some. We're gonna just talk to one side's witnesses.
They didn't even talk to the lady.
Come
They
on.
didn't even talk to her after that.
It was when they nominated him, it was a done deal to begin with, and nothing that could have been said would have stopped it. The fact that lady put her life on the line, she's gotten death threats, she's been humiliated, she's had to move. Why would anyone put themselves through that?
If it wasn't the truth, if there was a truth.
And on Kavanaugh's part, if it's not true, then why don't you call for the investigation?
You're a judge. Let him judge you.
Let's see where the chips fall.
Let's see where the chips fall. What did you think about the confirmation?
That's the part you being a judge, all of this time, you would have to call for an investigation just to clear yourself over something like that, not to just it never exists.
Right.
Come
or
on,
I like beer and I still like beer.
Right.
What?
Yeah. And this is a lifetime appointment, people. This is a lifetime appointment. All right, we'll keep moving on. We want to make sure that everybody, we're talking about the midterm elections last week, and October 9th, a few days ago, earlier this week, was the last opportunity to register to vote if you have not registered to vote. I hope that you all have. We're going to dig in a little bit deeper in the next week's show about with Cordray and DeWine, and really seeing and picking apart some of the issues. Particularly like we mentioned with issue one. Issue one, you need to. The name of our show is We've Got Issues. We're encouraging everybody to vote yes on issue one. It is basically the first step in prison reform here in the state of Ohio. But I'll tell you, man, it's a lot of things going on in terms of that. And I think that, if you don't vote, you don't have a choice. And we went through too much to not vote. So
and you don't have a voice.
You don't have a voice.
Complain.
Don't complain.
Don't vote, don't complain.
We're all registered voters here.
Right.
And we think that everybody else should be. So let's do
get
that.
informed.
Do your homework.
You know who's running. Find out what their platforms are. And vote according to what matches up with yours.
Exactly.
And if it don't fit, don't vote for them.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Duran, I know that when we were growing up, a lot of our parents were talking about voting, and I think sometimes we just take it for granted. You know what I mean? We don't think that one vote can make a difference. You know what I mean?
Yes, and just hearing both sides of it, just to reiterate what you were saying, my vote don't make a difference. It's the electoral votes.
Electoral college.
Popular vote. It's not my vote, but it does. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And these midterm elections are more important.
Yeah, that's what they call them, midterm.
The presidential elections.
It's a test. They are.
Presidential elections, don't get me wrong, is important.
Yeah.
But these midterm elections, these senators, these governors, these
Congress
state
folks.
reps, congressmen, and women, they are the ones who are running this country.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are making decisions for our state, for our city, and they need to be held accountable.
No doubt.
If you don't like what's going on in the country right now with all the bipartisan stances that both Democrats and Republicans are taking, then do something about it. Vote them out of office.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And like I said, closed mouth don't get fed. I mean, we have to galvanize and be together in terms of that. And we really can control the vote if you get out and vote. So we want to encourage everybody to do that. And go ahead.
Yeah, I do want to touch on the Hurricane Michael.
Yeah, we're about to get into that. Yeah, since his name is Michael, he's
right.
narcissistic like that.
So, I want to know, is global warming, is there anything to it? I mean,
I talked about that.
We're getting more storms, we're getting more powerful storms, and not just hurricanes. We have, the earthquakes, we have the mudslides, we have the tornadoes. I mean, is there something to global warming? I mean, what do you think?
I don't know. I think you would have to go back maybe a 10-year period and a decade and just see how many of these hurricanes and earthquakes we've had in 10 years, and then go back, just say from 2010 to 2000. Is it getting more? I mean,
more frequent,
or
I mean, we're not in hurricane season right now. Hurricane season is over.
Hurricane season goes from June to November.
It seems like it's getting more frequent because they're gonna, after a while, you're not gonna have enough names for these hurricanes.
I talked about it on the show about 4 weeks ago, Duran, and I agree with you. Like you said, running out of names. To me, it's definitely some global warming. And to me, it's definitely out there. Listen, guys, it's 56 degrees outside right now, and 3 days ago it was 87 in October. That's rare right there. In terms of that, to me, not only do I think it's global warming, I'm going to take it a step further, I think that it is almost controlled devastation. Whether it's the Doppler, whether it could be whatever, they're hitting places wherever they want it to hit. I mean, it's coming with too much frequency, whether it's Puerto Rico or Haiti. I think they're able to control it. I mean, think about it. This thing was the devastation. What I'm trying to say is this is one after the other, after the other, after the other. I mean, we're talking, to me, the global warming definitely has something to do with it. And the emissions, all of it. There's definitely something to it.
If you think about Hurricane Michael, this was a stronger hurricane than Katrina was. And we know the damage that Katrina did, right? It's shut down. It battered the Florida Panhandle. It battered parts of Georgia. There are 650,000 customers without power in Florida, and you can add another in Florida and Georgia, and you can add another 200,000 in North and South Carolina.
That's almost a million people
that are without power. Parts of I-10 is shut down. 80 miles of it is shut down because of down power lines and just destruction.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely something to global warming.
No doubt about it to me, man. There's no doubt about it.
We need to get some control over it.
Yeah. And I also think, to take it a step further, I want to see what you guys think about this. We wait for it to happen and then do the cleanup, as opposed to doing something preventative. You see what I'm saying? Because if we listen, man, every city on those coasts or whatever is going to continue to get decimated. It's and so over time. But we need to do something like they're doing in Amsterdam. Amsterdam, the whole country in the Netherlands, sits below sea level, but they have a system where they are now they've been able to control it, the water and the levees and everything. We need to do something like that because the destruction that's happening, it costs more in the short run than if we did some preventative stuff in the long run. I mean, everything.
And I was reading that some countries have special material that they use on these buildings that will stop it from the hurricanes and the storms to destroy those buildings. Even if we use something like that, something more, like you were saying, more preventative.
Yeah.
I think that's just the way to go. I mean, why wouldn't you do something like that?
Hoboken, New Jersey is the place to look at. Amsterdam, the city of Hoboken, New Jersey has hired these people from Amsterdam, these engineers, similar to our Army Corps engineers. So that's because Hoboken, New Jersey completely flooded out. They got all this money now, and they're doing the same kind of preventative things. And they caught some backlash because people was like, no, we don't want to do it. But then, so what if the next one happens? What happens on the next one? You're going to get flooded out again. So we need to come up with some of the preventative thing on that.
And you know what's coming next? Winter.
But Duran, you touched on something, man, earlier with your issue about losing everything. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean,
are we at the end of days?
I don't know.
That's another argument. That's you say global warming and all of this, and then hey, you look at all that's going on around you now in this world, and I don't know. Somebody said, "Don't let me have to come."
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something is going on to the point where it gets to, it has well, Durant's providing us with some music here. It's all good. It happens. But it's funny because that's probably somebody texting you about global warming. Then you call in.
Since give them the call in number again.
216-298-1554. We've got issues on KAZ Radio.
Follow us on YouTube. We've got issues page, KAZ Radio TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Apple TV, and Roku TV. Y'all check us out. Like us, follow us.
Exactly. I got one more thing out that was a little known story. It's a heinous story. Y'all know, if you guys know me, I watch a lot of that Investigation Discovery and Criminal Minds, and we're like NCIS and all that kind of stuff. And so anyway, this guy's named Gilbert Conway in Flint, Michigan. I don't know if you guys heard this story. This guy is as a brother, 60 years old. He has he's a serial rapist, raped over 500 women and kept the videotapes. When they went into his house earlier this week, they found 500 videos. So he was raping these women and videotaping it at the same time. And so, I'm just saying that to say, when you said that, are we at the end of days? I mean, all of that kind of stuff sort of points to it. Can you imagine?
So they caught him?
Yeah, they caught him. And here's the thing. The guy was an upstanding citizen, like deacon in the church. Gilbert Conway, you guys check it out. It was one of the most heinous stories I've ever heard. Raping someone is of course crazy. Then to videotape it and to do it 499 more times and not get caught over a 30-year period. It doesn't make sense.
Maybe he can become the next Supreme Court justice of the United States.
Right, he's a rubber president based on what we got in there now. But it says so many. This particular week has been such a different week for us in terms of, we got ready to plan the show, guys. People out there listening, got ready to plan the show. It was just so many issues. We didn't even really know where to start at because it was just so much to get to in that regard.
That goes along with what you're just saying. I mean, there's so many things going on around you. Wonder is divine intervention coming in at the end of the days or whatever. Global warming.
It's something.
You were telling me earlier about if the oceans increase in temperature.
Just another 2 to 3 degrees. If the oceans increase another 2 to 3 degrees, it will destroy 20% all the coral reefs, for one. Okay, that's just the coral reefs, that's where a lot of fish live and feed and so forth. And in terms of that. And then and also that when the currents, I forget the name of the current actually by the Galapagos Islands out there, when it meets, it's going to heat up and it'll spawn tidal waves in both directions and tsunamis and hurricanes with the intensity. And that's just 2 degrees. That's just 2 degrees, and it's going to happen. You can mark my word on it, Michael. If Michael is any indication. I mean, think about it. In the last 5 months, you've had Maria, Michael. What was the one over in Puerto Rico? Is that Maria?
They were
Florence.
Yeah.
I saw
like 5
It's crazy. Had a tsunami. Had another. They call them hurricanes on the East Coast, and they call them cyclones, or on the West Coast. Those people over in Indonesia, they killed like 1,400 people over the last 2 weeks. So. There's something to be said about that global warming. We need to sort of dig into that a little
affect the
deeper.
wildlife, though, the global?
Absolutely.
I mean, just say the Galapagos Island. I know those little iguanas, they dive down
They
in
do,
the cold, but they could actually go in the water and come in. It would probably kill all the wildlife.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's just definitely going to have a global effect. It really is. I wanted to ask you guys about this one, too, and just to talk about a little bit lighter thing. They had an interview yesterday. They had the Golden State Warriors and the LA Lakers, and of course LeBron played very well, whatever. But they went after him because he said that, and this is a crazy quote. He said that he's let his 11 and 14-year-old kids drink wine, and they tried to vilify him for that. Then he also said after that he was kidding, right? They'll be driving next week too. They'll have their license next week as well. The point I'm making is. Do you think is there a certain age to have your kids drink? Is there a certain age? Can somebody really tell you how to raise your kids in that environment, whatever it may be. Is it a thought process on that?
Well, the legal age is 21 in
Right.
most states.
Right.
Some states it's a little younger.
Right.
I don't know. I've been sober now for 16 years, so I
Great
know
job.
the effects of alcohol, and I know that a lot of times it leads to other things.
But he was just kidding. They took it way out of context.
I get it. But,
They took it way out of context.
Whether he was kidding or whether it happened, I don't know if I have the right to tell him how to raise his sons. It seems like he's doing a pretty good job. They're in prep schools. He's raising them and playing basketball and following in his footsteps. So I don't know if we have the right to tell him that that's wrong or you shouldn't be giving them wine. Some people are from the mindset that, if they do it at home with them, they won't be prone to go out in the streets and do it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah,
I've heard older people say, you give them a little taste, they won't want that when it's so nasty when they get older.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting how with the dynamic on it and how they take that focus and put it there while they're doing something else over here. You know what I mean? Okay. Whether it be that kind of thing. I got one more quick issue I want to mention too. Do you in the middle of this as Michael was barreling down on the Florida Panhandle there in the Gulf there, Trump had the opportunity he decided to go to a rally instead of actually sort of galvanizing his whole entire staff or whatever to get down there to the hurricane and really make that the focal point. What do you think of his, was that a narcissistic move by him? Should he have focused on just the hurricane as opposed to a couple thousand people, if that, for a campaign rally?
Oh, definitely. I think that as president of the United States, he has to, number one, protect the citizens. That should be the number one job duty of that office. And just show some compassion. Drop everything and keep it moving. But that brings me to another issue. So if that was President Obama and he'd done that, what would happen? So let's just talk about that for a second. If Agent Orange was black, would things be different? I mean, would he have been already impeached?
Yes.
Would he?
Yes.
Would they talk about? I remember when Obama took Air Force One, him and Michelle went on a vacation or something, and they gave him all kind of grief for that.
Right.
Well, they was giving him grief for picking football scores.
Yeah. The March Madness and all that. Yeah.
So
is there a double standard?
I don't know. Just like you hear from people on the left wing talking about Mr. Orange, Agent Orange there, you'll find the same people from the other side talking. It works both ways.
Let me ask this.
I think it's a double standard for sure.
We all know some of the comments that Agent Orange has made. While he was on the campaign trail, before he got into office, he made a lot of very vulgar comments. He's talked about grabbing women in their private parts. He's talked about he could go on Times Square and shoot someone and still be elected president. He said that there were good people on both sides of the Charlottesville massacre. If Obama had done any of that, would he have even been elected?
No. There's no doubt about it. He wouldn't have been able to keep his job as a congressman or whatever in Chicago. You know what I mean?
From the way things are set up now, no.
There's no doubt about it.
So I guess my question then is, because a lot of times, we talk bipartisan so much these days that when everyone draws that line and the Republicans have their stance and they're rigid on that stance, and the Democrats have their stance and they're rigid on theirs. I remember the days when they used to come together and reach across the aisle and work together.
And work together for the common good.
So when President Obama was elected, there was the secret meeting that everyone talks about that the Republicans had to block everything that President Obama would do. In which they
Tea parties and everything.
And they were pretty successful in doing that. The Democrats have not taken that stance, but they are blocking a lot of things, for good or bad, of what Agent Orange is doing. What about, how can we bring this country back together? It's so divided right now.
It's more divided than I've ever seen it.
I think you just said it. I think you have to work closer together, Democrats, Republicans, and I mean, of course, you're going to be on different ends of issues, but there's issues again. But it's like you have to work together for the common good of the American people.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't.
Who are paying you to be in office, voting you into office, and
Exactly.
supporting you into office. I mean, come
I
on
think
now.
they've gotten too.
Your salary comes off our taxes. Come on now.
Yes,
You're a
and
public
it does.
servant.
They've gotten too far on each extreme now. I mean, I think if someone it has to be a mediator between the two parties when things get so bad.
But that's crazy. I mean, these are elected officials that we put in office. And if they can't work together and for the good of the country,
Right.
I'm not talking about for the good of the parties, for the good of the country.
Right.
What's right for our country? And if they can't work together for that, then what are we doing?
And like you said earlier, you guys both use the same word, and the right word, and the word is right. You have to just do what's right.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, and it does. I wanted to ask one more thing. I mentioned this as well with the, and let me just say it this way. I didn't agree with Trump defending, holding that rally, and it was a lengthy rally, as opposed to jumping right on it with the hurricane. And when they're jumping right on that, I mean, that's where, that's where you have an opportunity to really make a difference. You know what I mean? This guy, that's all I can say about that.
I don't know. Do you think that? Here's my thing. I think a lot of times when he speaks, he tries to go off the cuff so much. And that's when he gets in trouble.
Yeah.
If he follows the script that's given to him, I think he would come off better.
Okay.
But he doesn't do that.
No, he doesn't.
And so when you talk about should he have dropped everything and gone to that area or addressed the hurricane, the last time that we had the hurricane, he said something off the cuff.
Yeah.
This is the wettest it's ever been.
Right. He was throwing paper towels in Puerto Rico like that. Come on,
Threw
man.
paper towels in
Come
Puerto
on, man.
Rico. I mean,
Come on, man.
I mean,
Come on, man.
What is someone who has been devastated, who has lost their house
And everything.
they have no food, water is scarce,
Right.
if they have any,
Yeah.
and he throws paper towels at them?
Come on, and that was Puerto Rico months ago.
Right. I mean,
And said you should see the successful job that we've done in Puerto Rico.
right.
Get out of here.
What
man.
alarms me is that he don't have any advisors or anyone to.
He does.
Well, how? I mean,
yeah. Whoever it is,
Yeah, I don't know.
well, you could throw
the word would not
correct
be
out of the
advisor.
window.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what about this Nikki Haley, who was the UN ambassador, was a key person in his cabinet, and she resigned. So, I mean, he's lost probably, what, 30, 40, 50 people during this camp? Yeah.
Yeah, but she just took another job, though, right?
Yeah, but she still was a UN ambassador.
Is she like has her own show on Fox now or something like
She
that?
should. I don't know. I'm just saying, nobody wants to be around that guy.
Clashed early on, but now he's giving her praise.
Wow.
So,
I don't know, man. It's a sad state of affairs. I think prayer and connectivity.
Well, that's the only.
That's it.
Can somebody please tell me what is alternative facts?
How can
what
it be
exactly is that?
Well, hold on. How can a fact be an alternative?
Right.
That's an oxymoron. That's like
Alternative
jumbo
fact.
shrimp or little big man. Come on, now that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Alternative facts.
Who came up with that?
Who came up with that? Yeah.
Isn't that called a lie?
That's called a lie. That's called a lie, Mike. I have an issue with that.
The biggest contradiction in the world.
Yeah. Alternative facts. That doesn't make any sense.
I think with the elections coming up, that we have to, as voting citizens, we have to really put the time in and research the candidates that are running, find out what their platforms are, and we really need to vote accordingly.
I agree.
I know this country is divided, but we got to come together some kind of way. We're already falling behind a lot of other countries
Oh
in
my
the
God,
world.
we're 68th in healthcare.
Right,
We're
so-
39th in education, and we're the richest country on the world.
Can
on
we
the
get it
planet.
together?
Come on, man. There's a quick quote on that I was looking at, and I just wanted to say this because this is when Kavanaugh was being confirmed, they had all these people outside protesting, right? Okay, And he's looking out the window or whatever, and he said, "Look at that mob out there." And they said, Agent Orange, that's no mob, that's the majority. so if the majority's outside telling you that they don't do this, don't look at them as a mob, bro. That's the majority.
Yeah,
the majority rules. Come on now.
Speaking.
Yeah, that's the people speaking. No, that's a mob. Come on, man.
And even that was, after he was confirmed, they did a special, I don't know if it was a swearing-in ceremony or what, but he does it the way it's never been done before. That's kind of a sacred ceremony for people
It is.
in the legal field.
It is.
And he makes a mockery out of everything he does.
Yeah.
And it just irks me.
It irks me too, and it takes us to a point where you really just want to throw up your hands, and we did that in the first couple of months.
Yeah.
And now we're not even surprised. I mean, if I was doing comedy, if I was
point.
still doing comedy, I would just do a special just on him.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any
Here's the
sense.
thing too, that I think he has a brilliant plan, because he distracts us with some of the craziest things that he says, and then in the middle of the night he's signing bills and acts and changing laws, and
That's a good point.
no one knows. No one reports on that, so we don't know what's really going on.
We really don't, but we know it ain't right. We
Yeah.
know we know it ain't right. I mean, it's so much to think about in that regard. One of the other things I was thinking about also was the for lack of a better phrase, I just want to, a lot of us, the Dow, for example, the stock market plunged 600 points, in the last couple of days, okay, in terms of that. And what bothers me about that is that, do you know that 86% of the American population does not invest in the stock market? All of us most of us in the black community are shoppers. We're buyers.
Yeah.
We're buyers. Do you agree?
I agree.
We can't wait to get our check, our money, and go buy something. We just buy. We just buy. For example, one share of stock at Dollar Tree, if people go there, is like $72 a share. You buy that one share of stock, you get 40% off at Dollar Tree. You know what I mean? We need to get into the mindset of also making our money work for us, as opposed to just being shoppers. Yeah. And that's another mentality as well.
AKA investing in yourself.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I'll tell you, a lot of people are like I was talking about earlier, not in the know of how to go about those things. And we're more educated on
sports.
Celebrities.
Celebrities.
Right. Oh yeah.
Exactly.
And I was telling the guy about the young guy about Black Panther. He was like, Black Panther, yeah, Wakanda, all that, and he had never even heard of the real Black Panthers. You know what I mean? So yeah, it looks like we have a caller.
Got a caller. Wait a minute.
216-298-1554.
Okay, caller, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, Bill.
Hey, Danny. Yeah, we had Danny on the show a while back. Danny, good to hear you. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Yes, I was sitting up here watching you guys on my phone, and I decided to call in.
Excellent. What's your issue?
And I was really interested when you guys got to talk about the piece about Trump.
Right.
What do you think about that?
For the life of me, I can't understand how these people even voted this guy in the first place.
No doubt. That's the electoral college, man, because he lost the popular vote by 3.5 million votes.
Right.
So the majority rules, right?
Yeah. And it's really sad to see that this country is going in the direction that it's going in.
It is.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Danny, since you called in, let me ask you a quick question. There's a lot of talk about bipartisan politics. And, the Republicans have their stance, the Democrats have their stance. Back in the day, they used to reach across the aisle. How do we get back to that? How do we get these two parties
that
to
we
reach
voted
across
in?
the aisle? And should there be more than just the two parties? Can we have like 17 candidates running for president?
Right.
Well, it would be kind of hard since we got two parties that's full of liars.
Yeah, and I've been bought off by many lobbyists, So.
Oh, because the last time I read my book, it says light has no fellowship with darkness.
That's
so
true.
The only other party that could be able to come in, if you ask me, is the party of true believers, there's real Christians in this country that is supposed to be founded on, that's actually following the rules of spirituality, what is stated in this Constitution. And thus far, at this day and age, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, all men are not created equal if you're a certain pigment.
First of all, that's their story. Now, I ain't see, you know, start me with my militant thinking, see, because now you're talking about his story.
Yeah, that's his story.
That's his story. That ain't God's story.
That is. Hey, Danny, we really appreciate you calling in, man. We got to get you back on the show. That was a great question.
Yeah, I intended to call you earlier, man. I forgot about it. I was sitting up here and I had to do a couple of things because, you know, I'm still working with these young men, man.
Yeah, I know you're doing God's work, man.
But anyway, I thank you guys for taking the call. I ain't gonna hold you up. I know you guys showed the finish.
All right, Dan. Thanks for calling in. We've got
thanks
issues,
for the
man. We
call.
appreciate it, man.
All right, God bless you guys. Y'all stay strong.
You as well, man. You as well. You know, he made a very good point, though, because, you know, the spirituality aspect is out of it. And then 3 or 4 shows ago, we were talking about spirituality with the Catholic priest, right? I mean, come on now. The spirituality is over there. You know what I mean? And it's very difficult to really grab a hold of it. All of this stuff going on at the same time. You know, you want to stay in your lane, but you want to be vocal.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
be
You
heard.
want to mind your business, but you want to make change. Right. You know, there's a I don't even want to say it's catch-22. I think it's just time to do. You know, it's time to do something.
For you know, people to step up.
Yeah.
You know, if you have problems with what's going on in the world, step up and start talking about it.
Who would you say, Mike, is back in the day, Duran and Mike, I'll put this question to both of you guys. Who would you say, back in the day we had, we'll say Martin Luther King was the leader or the voice of black people, okay? Or even Malcolm X on the other
Martin
side.
Luther King.
Okay, who is that black leader that we all galvanize behind right now?
There's the issue.
Is there one?
I think you have.
I mean, there's more, but who would you say is that one? Like you could go and get hostages out like Jesse did.
Well,
you know what I mean? Whatever it may be.
I don't know if you can pinpoint to one, but I
We
think
used to,
we
though.
have some up and coming. Yeah, but I think it was just one because that's who they allowed us to have. You know, and when they got too big, they were assassinated. You know, so I think what's good about that is that today you have a lot of people in politics and in other areas that are speaking up, that are doing their thing. It's just that it's positive news, and that's not what sells.
Do you go out and you look at a person like, to put it this way, I was told, and I won't say who this person is, they're an influential person in America that I had a conversation with years ago, and they said, we went down to protest, and we were protesting, and the lady came out of the city hall and said, we're hiring. And everybody down there got a job. And I mean a good job. They retired. We're talking hundreds of people. So you look at Ice Cube right now, Ice-T, who used to be a gang leader. Now he's been a cop for 18 years. They pacify us to a certain degree, and in that realm, it sort of takes away from the purpose. Does that make sense?
Larger purpose.
Yeah.
And it happens. It's happening. You know.
But I think that's part of that is we're asleep.
Yeah.
We need to be awake. I think that it's great. Some of the strides that we've made in the last, 50, 60 years have been great. But they've been very small strides,
Yes.
So it's a lot more work to be done. And I think we as African Americans are stepping up to the plate. We're doing what we need to do. We're lifting up our communities, but we just need to do so much more of it.
I think. What do you think about this?
And we have to reach over across the aisle to some of our white brothers and sisters and our Asian brothers and sisters and our Hispanic brothers and sisters and have some real serious conversations about how we can get some things accomplished together.
You know what I was
this
saying?
This isn't a black thing or a white thing, it's a together thing.
It is.
And that's what we got to do.
Excellent point.
And that's what we're gonna have to find: black and white to bridge that little divide. But we have to come up with that leader. That's funny. We were just talking about that's 50 years since we had a real leader
that we can galvanize.
That can really galvanize exactly.
And Obama was that leader, and to a certain degree. I mean, but he came in a cleanup mode. half the stuff that Donald Trump that we're benefiting from right now came from the Obama administration.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, whether it's the economy and all of that. But
So who's the next Obama?
Wow, but
crickets? I don't know.
Well, I got a couple of people that I really like, and they're on.
You talking about for presidency or as a leader that we can?
As a
all get
leader,
behind?
as a leader, I like Cory Booker. He's the senator from New
Former
Jersey.
mayor of New Jersey, yeah.
From New Jersey. I like Kamala Harris.
Okay, yeah.
I like Feinstein,
Okay.
and I also like the other lady. Is it Warren?
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that her? I like her. So I think that we have people on both sides that are up and coming, and hopefully they're in it for the long haul.
Do you think that the disconnect? Do you think we should come from the spirituality standpoint and work from the church out? Because the church is the number one galvanizing effect in the black community. And most of our leaders, whether it was Jesse Jackson, whether it was Martin Luther King, or even Malcolm X, they all came from a spiritual side to get to the forefront of that. Does that make sense?
It does.
So that's what I'm thinking now. And I just want to say this very quickly. We were on we grew up on Buckeye, right?
Right.
So I was on 93rd and Buckeye, and I started counting churches from 93rd and Buckeye to 130th and Buckeye, and it was 17 churches. I was on 93rd and Kinsman, and I counted the churches from 93rd to 130th. There were 19 churches, and I'm not talking about the cross streets. That's 36 churches in a 2.5 mile radius. The point I'm making is we're not even connected. We're disconnected even in the church, because one pastor may say, look, he don't want to hear what the other pastor's saying, so he opens up his own thing, and it's another faction. You go to some of these either in the Catholic Church, they got huge parishioners, huge churches, and they stay together and galvanize. So even our disconnect is big from the church standpoint as well.
I agree, and that's part of the
Yeah,
problem.
I don't know if I want churches taking that lead. I'll say it like this. I think that a lot of our churches have fallen asleep.
Yes.
And they are not really concerned with what's really going on.
Are they concerned with the dollar, Mike?
I think they're more concerned with the dollar than how to solve some of the
commercial
issues
now.
Is
that
that
are going on.
Creflo, is that his real name? Creflo Dollar's real name? I'm just teasing. We know they're concerned about the dollar. Right. I mean,
But I would love to see another Martin Luther King or another Malcolm X
I would
step
love to
up
see
to the
that
plate.
one leader.
But I think that we can survive with multiple leaders. I don't think we need just one, because I think sometimes even like if you talk Martin Luther King, there were a lot of people who didn't agree with what he was preaching.
Yeah.
And so you have followers of Malcolm, you have followers of Martin. And that's
They both were trying to affect
again
change.
they were, but that again
That
caused
disconnect.
that disconnect,
Exactly.
that divide,
So
and it wasn't until they started coming together.
Yeah. So Malcolm woke up too. He went to Mecca. He's like, hey,
Right.
yeah. But now here's when we talked about all that. You mentioned the minorities, whether it's Puerto Ricans or African Americans or whatever. You mentioned that. With that being said, here's the galvanizing effect for me. One day a week, one day a month. Don't spend no money. Don't spend any money with anybody but that's in our own race. When you go to Chinatown, you go to Slavic village, you go to Little Italy. Who you think in Little Italy spending their money? Italians. You go to our biggest power is to stop supporting our oppressors. Whether we go, all we do when we get our money, people, from what I see, is we go shop and give it right back to them. You know what I mean? We need to do, if we stop spending money, because that's the secret to America is money. You stop spending money, and you'll get their attention.
How do you do that?
Hey, listen, I want to start a forum. You can come. Let's talk about
That's
it.
where the trust issues.
Yeah, I mean, how do you just stop spending?
The Jewish people do it every Saturday. Every Friday and Saturday. They do it every Friday and Saturday. That's how they do it. I'm just saying, you got to hit them in the pocket. You got to suck it to the pocket.
I don't know that they stopped doing that, though. I don't know if they stopped spending. I think they just walk to go where they spending it.
Okay, well, let's just say it to you this way: if blacks and minorities stop spending money for one day in this country, one day, it would shut the country down. It's a fact. What's the alternative? How else can we be heard? We've marched all over the place, Mike Duran, haven't we? Yeah. What happened? What's changed?
A lot of things.
Okay.
I just think it
They're
has.
still hiring the same cop that shot Tamir Rice in Bel Air. Ain't no change. Luckily they stopped him.
But clearly there's been change.
Yeah.
I mean, if
There's
it has
been change.
yeah,
Incremental
absolutely.
change, but
I mean, just think about it. We've had our first black president.
I was just saying, yeah.
You know,
yes, we have.
I mean, how many of y'all growing up thought that you could even get to that level to become president?
Yeah, did you think that? Yeah.
No.
No,
I didn't think
I didn't either.
You remember we had that show.
Right.
on
Yeah,
that.
we did.
I didn't
In my
either.
lifetime, I didn't think it'll ever.
You know, who was
That's why.
who was the comedian who said, you know, you all had Obama was the 44th president. So up until then, it was white, and then we finally get a black one, and now it's white, you know.
Yeah.
So there's been change, because I never in my wildest dreams thought I would live to see a black president.
Yeah, or even
You know.
even Cleveland won the championship in a major
Right,
sport,
right. So it's changed. I think that change happens so slowly, though.
Yeah.
That
But it's one step forward and
Yeah.
3 steps back.
and with Agent Orange, I think it's more like 10 steps back.
Yeah,
I mean,
no
he's
doubt
really trying to dismantle everything that's been done, and with the Supreme Court justice going back to that.
Oh man.
Now they have the majority, and so some of the decisions that are coming up on their
They're gonna roll back stuff.
oh
man.
my
They're rolling back
goodness,
stuff, man. They're rolling
it's
back.
stuff it's some serious matters that are coming up.
Yeah, we've touched on several issues today. The call-in number is 216-298-1554. I know Duran over here is chopping at the bit. We're going to switch to sports.
Yeah.
Duran, I want to hear your take on the Browns' victory against the Baltimore Ravens, which is really the Cleveland Browns, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
were the Cleveland Browns before they left. What's your
yeah,
take?
yeah.
How'd you feel about this Sunday with the Browns?
I tell you what was impressive about this win is all the first half, the Ravens was in our territory. They didn't score a touchdown.
That's right.
Our defense just turned them back play after play.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Denzel Ward is a player.
Ooh, didn't he play that? He was AFC Special Teams Player of the Week.
We
by
had
the way.
people
Shout out.
questioning that draft. They wanted Chubb on the other side, but I said we got Ogba already. We need a cover corner.
Yeah.
And he's playing the part. And I tell you, the Ravens, they were down in our territory all the first half. We turned them back. Now we had the ball on our own side of the field, close to our goal line, all game it seems like. And I tell you what, Baker Mayfield found a way to get downfield.
Were you still expecting Mike and Duran? It was 9-6 or whatever. Were you expecting at some point for the shoe to drop and us not to win that game? I'll take that as.
I tell you what, still we have to shore up our special teams because that field goal should have been
The field
blocked.
goal looked like he missed it.
It was
It was a line
actually
drive.
was blocked. Somebody got their hand on it, but it
was a line drive. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it
It was
was.
a knuckleball.
It was. It got to the point where when it was, I was home from work, and when I was stopped at a store, and the gentleman came in and said, "Hey, we won." I'm like, "What?" It was 9. I quit listening to the radio when it was tied.
My thing is, I love their grit.
Yeah.
They are.
They got hurt.
They got hard.
And I was listening to Hugh Jackson before we came on the air, and he said these guys work hard in practice. He said that they believe when they take the field that they can beat
They're gonna
anyone.
beat
They can
anyone
compete
they
with
come-
anybody
exactly.
that we're playing against.
Exactly.
And that's totally different. I remember when we played the Jets, we got 14 down, and they didn't hang their heads.
No.
They fought
came right
back.
Yeah. So that's a different mentality. They're not being pushed around like they were before.
Right.
Here's the thing that I was going to say too, and that particular show we did where we went through the whole season, right?
Right.
Okay. And now they're 2-1, right?
Right.
What I'm thinking is this: isn't it so much better when they win at home?
Yes.
When you win at home, I mean,
They've been winning now.
I say they're 2-0 at home.
Yeah.
I mean, they are 2-0 at home. I mean,
Well, they got a tough test this week with the LA Chargers coming to
And
town.
and about the Chargers, since you just mentioned that, last year about this time, if the Browns were facing the Chargers, the spread would be like 8 to 10 points
Yeah.
for the Chargers. But now, just to give you an example of how well we've been playing as a young, hungry team,
Right.
the spread is like a point.
Who's favorite?
It could go either the Browns were favored by a point earlier, but it's swinging like a point,
Back and forth.
back and forth.
Back and forth.
Okay.
So let me ask this question then, since we're talking Brown, and we haven't gotten to the disappointment yet, but
Yeah, we're saving the
and we'll
Indians.
get there. But so we have the home game coming up. Let's say we win this week,
Right.
so we'll be 3-2-1.
Right.
Right.
When do we start talking playoffs? Is it too early,
Duran?
We start talking.
or do we wait till December 31st?
Well, it's still too early because I know we got the type of team to make the playoffs right now. We got them in there, but I think if you look at our schedule, it's brutal. When we beat Cincinnati, one of the alphas, and Pittsburgh, I'll say it's time to start talking playoffs away from home.
So
They're
you,
2-0 in the division, aren't they?
Well, no,
No.
they're 1 and
they tied
0 and
one.
1.
Yeah,
okay, so,
One
yeah,
and
okay.
tied.
So,
Okay.
so here's the thing,
So
and I like the way Hugh Jackson thinks about the season. He
quarters?
does it in quarters.
Right.
Right.
So,
16
the
games.
first quarter of the season, we were 1-2-1.
Right.
Right.
So they're 1-0 in the
Not
second
great, you know.
But better than last year.
And they're 1-0 in the second. Now, if we get through the next quarter, let's say the next 3 games, we win 2 more, so we
Right.
go 3-1
Right.
in the next quarter.
Which would make us.
Would it then be time to start talking that, hey, maybe this team can make the playoffs?
We'll start thinking playoffs.
You think so, Duran?
It's half the
Yeah.
season is over now.
That's when it's 50-50.
Notoriously, though, you know, the money is made in November and December.
True.
You know, so
So Mike, then, so you posed a question to us. When do you think it's time to start talking playoffs?
December 31st.
I say
When we make it.
I say the same thing, and here's the thing: the bar has been so low. I've said this before that I could have coached the Browns to 0-16, and anybody in this room could have done the same thing. I'm very excited with the Browns, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse right
Right.
now. The defense is playing
Lights
excellent,
out.
and the league,
Except-
the defense
except
is
the
what's
Oakland
sustaining
game.
them. But for the most part, the
Yeah.
defense is sustaining them.
Yeah.
Fifth in the
But if you
league.
think about the Oakland game, you know, we gave up like 21 points on off. It wasn't the defense.
Right.
It was a pick 6.
Yeah.
And then we had the ball fumbled it on there down in our
in
territory
the
twice.
red zone,
So
yeah.
let's
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. So let's say go Browns, and we're going to
So
move on.
do you
Right.
think we need to add a receiver? Well, I mean, you got Hollywood out, right?
I'm gonna say
He's
step
hurt.
up.
He's
I
hurt.
say yes.
I'm going to say step up, play with the play. Next man up is my mentality. That's my mentality, and that's just how I feel about that. We're just going to say go Chargers, but let's talk about the Indians. I'll finish your point.
Oh, I say we need to
Des
add a
Bryant?
veteran deep receiver because
They just traded him away to the Patriots.
well,
yeah.
they had to.
I'm
They
just
had
saying.
to.
And
Yeah,
Des Bryant's
they
still
had
out there. So let's move on. So add a deep receiver. Are they going to beat the Chargers this week?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say yes as well, and I'm looking right near the camera here because you know how I feel about the Browns. I love the Browns, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I'm going to wait
Yeah.
and see attitude. Rookie quarterback, anything could happen. I wish them the best, but I'm going to say on the record that they will beat the Chargers. Let's go on, Mikey. We were talking about the Indians. Let's go. We only got
Man,
10
they
minutes
got
left on the show.
swept.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
And the bad thing
Swept?
about swept.
What's your take on that, Duran?
Well, the bad thing about that is I think all the teams that was in the playoffs, baseball teams, had a chance. We got a very well-rounded team, but they didn't perform the way they were performing in the regular season.
So are we a regular season team?
Yes.
And
We
we're not a
got regular
postseason
season
team.
players.
Postseason
We have-
has our
we have
has
a
our
team.
They
name.
won up in the World Series 2 years
Really?
ago. They went to the
Yeah.
playoffs last year, and they lost. And they were up 2 anyway. Yeah. So
Really, very quickly.
yes.
I think that we're a regular season team because when the playoff starts, we have breakdowns that we usually don't have. You've seen it in the last few
Yeah.
weeks of the season. We started to have breakdowns in the pitching staff, and the little creeks they just start showing up big time in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
and I know we don't have the time, but you know, how about life without LeBron?
Life without Not LeBron.
I tell you what, you could take the Lakers cap.
Hey, man, I saw LeBron shoot that. Yeah, that's just purple and gold. Do not pay attention to that. You know, letters on there, they mean nothing.
I'm a Cleveland fan. I'm not a LeBron. I'm a Cleveland fan.
LeBron played
I
very
appreciate
well
it.
last week, though. He played very well yesterday against
Yes,
Golden
he
State.
did.
Last thing we want to say, the NBA season is going to be starting up. By the time we come back here next week, we'll have even more issues to add to. Continue to listen to us on YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, KZTV, Roku TV, and of course, Facebook itself. Thank everybody for listening to We've Got Issues. We'll see you next week. And remember, be the miracle.
Father, we just thank you for bringing us together again. We ask that you continue to work with us, guide us, guard us, and protect us as we go about our day, and help us to grow this show.
And
Amen.
prayers up for those people in the hardest hit and all over India with Hurricane Michael. God bless. And
God bless.
Godspeed.
Exactly.
Amen.
God
See you
bless.
guys next week.
On We've Got Issues.
You know we do.